everybody. Welcome to Mat Pilates. I will want you to grab your mat, grab some water if you want to have that handy, and let's get started. My name is Laura. Welcome if you're joining me for the first time. And we're going to start lying on our backs. So this is how I usually start class. Hopefully you can see me okay. I know there's a little bit of a glare off the window. Your arms are going to be long by your side. Your knees are bent and your feet are flat on your mat or your floor, wherever you are. I'm just lying on my reformer because it gets a better shot rather than lying on the floor for you guys to see what I'm doing. So your weight is evenly distributed on the floor, okay? And you have a nice long neutral spine, meaning you have a little space between your lower back and the mat. So let's just start with our breath. Take an inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. So keeping that long neutral spine, and I want you to continue with this breathing pattern, and on your next exhale, you're going to draw your belly button in, engaging your core. So you haven't changed the position of your back. You're just drawing the belly button in. So we're still in our neutral spine, and we've engaged our core. So keep that engagement here as you continue to breathe. Now my breathing's a little bit exaggerated, so hopefully you can hear it. And on your next exhale, you're going to imprint the spine, meaning you're going to do a little pelvic tilt as you gently press your lower back down to the mat. So this is what we call imprint position. So you've closed that space between your lower back and the mat. You've tilted your pelvis and your belly button is drawn in. So hold that position there for another breath here. And then rock it back to your neutral spine, meaning you have that little space between your lower back and the mat. And on your own time, your own speed, you're going to rock from imprint to neutral, just feeling the difference. We're not having any tension through the upper body, the shoulders, the neck, the chest. We're just rocking the pelvis from imprint to neutral. And exhale and inhale. One more like that. And then your next imprint's going to roll you up to a bridge. So exhale, imprint the spine and start to lift the hips up to the ceiling as we roll up the spine and hold at the top. So now feel the muscle groups that have had to kick in here to find this position. Your hamstrings, your glutes, your core is still working, right? Maybe a little bit of calves. Your arms are long by your side. Your quads are working. Front of your hips, your hip flexors are nice and lengthened here. Okay, we shouldn't really feel any tension through the front of those hips. This is an opening exercise for those hips. And roll it back down. And again, exhale, imprint the spine, roll it up, hold at the top. Holding here. And exhale, roll it down. Next one, exhale, roll up and hold. Now what I want you to do is lift the toes off of the floor, not the heels, the toes. Press through the heel of the foot. And as you do, you should feel the hamstrings and the glutes have to kick in even more. Work a little bit harder so you change that stance. Now let's lower the toes and lift the heels. Nice high heel. You'll feel the calves kicked in a little bit more. Hamstrings and glutes still working quite a bit. Make sure those hips haven't sunk down. Lower those heels. Roll it down the spine. And hug the knees. Good. So we've warmed up the lower body here. So now through class, especially if you're new to me, you'll find that I don't often give a rest period. Okay, so if you need one, you need to take it. And this is a good resting position. So please keep that in mind. Bring the knees up to tabletop position, meaning the knees are right over the hips and about at 90 degrees. Belly button's drawn in. You'll hear me say that 1,000 times more, but it's so important. Start with some basic toe taps. We tap and lift. Inhale, exhale. So what we're focusing on here is the opening at the hip. So we're not just dropping the heel to your butt. That's nothing. That's not even a thing, okay? Open at the hip, drop and lift. Inhale, exhale. So we're paying attention to the back because the back has not left the mat, right? The belly button's drawn in. We've got 3 and 2 and 1. Knees back up to tabletop. Belly still drawn in here. You're going to extend one leg long, pull it into return. Other leg long, pull it into return. Reach, return. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. If extending the leg long is just too much for you right now, go back to those toe taps. We always have options to take it back to the previous exercise if what we're currently doing is too much. And inhale and exhale. Last 2. Last 1. Go ahead and hug the knees. Take those knees around in a circle, just a gentle stretch for the lower back. Reverse the circle. And then let's bring those knees back up to tabletop position. I want you to take your arms out to the side like a T and your palms facing down. I'm not positive if you can see my arms right now, but just listen to my words if you can't see my arms. Your palms are facing down and your arms are out to the side like a T. Belly's drawn in. I want a small spinal twist here as those legs tilt to one side. Exhale to center. Inhale to slightly tilt. Exhale to center. Inhale. Exhale. So this is part of our warm-up. You might find that in other exercise routines, you're letting those legs go closer to the floor. That is perfectly fine if you're warmed up and ready to do that. This is part of our warm-up, and that's why I'm asking you to keep it small. Warming up the obliques, 1 more each side. Knees back up to tabletop. Arms now straight up to the ceiling. Palms facing the wall in front of you, and we're going to crunch. Exhale, lift head and shoulders. Now fingertips are reaching long towards that wall in front of you. Inhale to lower. Exhale to lift. Inhale to lower. Exhale, lift. If having your knees up in tabletop is too much, please take them down. And exhale, lift. Next one, we lift and hold. Hold here, reach those arms long, and we start to pump the arms for the 100. We inhale for 5 and exhale for 5. Keep going. Now again, if you need to take those feet down, please do. If you need to challenge yourself more, take those legs long. Keep that belly drawn in and keep your back on the mat. If you look down and your belly's pushing up to the ceiling, maybe your legs are not ready to be fully extended and you need to come back to tabletop. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Whole body goes long. Arms above your head, legs long on the mat. Inhale, arms come up to the ceiling into our roll up. We exhale, rolling up off the mat, over to the toes. Nice long stretch forward. Scoop in the belly, shoulders are down. Control your way back down. Again, inhale, arms come up, exhale. Up off the mat, over for that nice stretch forward. Making sure those shoulders are not near your ears. Scoop that belly up under your rib cage. Control yourself down. If you're not quite ready for that full roll up yet, keep it as a crunch, okay? Lift to the bottom of the shoulder blades and return. Focusing on keeping those legs long and opening up through the front of the body, through those hip flexors that try to overwork, right? So we're still going with those roll-ups if you can. Exhale. So as you're rolling up, if you're feeling the front of your body tense up, I want you to keep going. I'm going to stop for a minute, but you keep rolling up. If you feel your hip flexors crank up, your lower back presses down, and everything through here tightens up, you need to work on that. Listen to my cues. Belly button's drawn in. And exhale on that hard part of the lower spine, right? Exhale. So right here should not be all hip flexor, okay? It should be core to get you up. Now that takes some time, but if you're aware of what your body should be doing, it's easier to get there. This is a lot of roll-ups tonight. Let's go one more. It's a fairly complex exercise for looking so easy. There's a lot to think about. Finishing on your back and hugging your right knee into your chest. I really wish I could see you all. It's not quite as fun just talking to myself. So from here, I want you to take your left hand onto your right knee and guide it across your body for a spinal twist. Breathe into that stretch. You've probably been, maybe if you're working from home or still working in an office, sitting all day. Maybe you haven't been sitting and you've been moving around and this stretch feels so good. Bringing yourself back to center. I want you to straighten that right leg up, lifting the head and shoulders if that feels right for your body into a hamstring stretch. While you're here, take a glance down at this left leg. Make sure it's coming right out from the hip as if you were standing on it. If it's floating away to the side, you need to pull it right underneath that hip. We're going to take the head and shoulders down. We're going to keep the leg up. Take your arms long by your side. Do a little body check here for me. Your spine is long, your belly button's drawn in, and your hip flexor is not cranked up and on fire. Yes, it's working because your hip is flexed right now in this position, but pay attention to that. We're going to take some nice large leg circles today, which is not typically what I do. So anchor those hips down. Belly button drawn in. Let that leg cross your center line, but do not lift that right hip. Hip stays down. That leg sweeps down, around, and up. Inhale as we cross that center line, sweep it down, around, and up. Inhale and exhale. So now you need to keep this circle within a range that you can control, meaning your core is not wobbling side to side. Let's reverse this circle. Reverse is harder here. Let that leg come out to the side, stabilize here, and then sweep it up and around. Stabilize, that leg goes out to the side, and then sweep it up and around. Inhale and exhale. So anchoring those hips, right? Don't let everything move with you. Last one here. Sometimes we think bigger is going to be easier. Keep that leg up, flex the foot. Slowly lower down. 3, 2, 1. Left knee pulls into your chest. And in some respects, it is easier. But if you need to control the weight of that leg moving away from center, the leg's a heavy part of the body, right? Take your right hand onto your left knee and guide it across your body for that spinal twist. It requires a lot more stabilization. And now I can't see you. I can't see how we're wobbling side to side. So I trust that you're listening to my words and really focusing on that. Let's bring it back to center, please, and straighten that leg up to the ceiling, lifting the head and shoulders if that's right for you. Take a glance down at that right leg. Make sure it's coming right out from the hip as if you were standing on it. Keep the leg up. Take your head and shoulders down. Take your arms long by your side. Anchor those hips. Pay attention to that hip flexor. Now, a side note here, I should have mentioned that before. You probably hate me for just hanging out here with your leg lifted. If your hip pops with every circle. You can try turning out a little bit at the hip, and that might take some of that relief off, okay? So keep that in mind. Play around with that a little bit. Inhale, the leg slightly crosses your center line. Exhale as you sweep it down, around, and up. Inhale, slightly crossing center. Exhale, up and around. So as that leg crosses center, make sure that left hip is not going with it. The left hip is staying grounded. One more in this direction, and then we reverse. Here we go. Leg goes out. You're stabilizing here. Don't let your whole body go with you. Sweep it around and up. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Two more. Finish with that leg high. Flex the foot. Slowly lower straight down. 3, 2, 1. Pulling both knees into your chest. Rock yourself up to a seated position for rolling like a ball. Heels are hugged in close. Take a little tilt back so you're balancing. Shoulders are down. At no point are they ever close to your ears. That goes for any form of exercise. Scoop the belly button in, and your gaze goes down towards your belly button. As we inhale, rock back to the shoulder blades. Exhale, rock up to a balance. Inhale. Exhale. Now this is all about your control. If you let those legs fly, I guarantee you're using momentum and not your core. If you need, take your hands behind your thighs instead of by your ankles. That is a slightly easier variation. 2 more. Last one. Hold at the top. I want you to go ahead and place your feet down. I want to take a nice little hamstring stretch while we're up here, because who doesn't need that, really? So let's take our right hand behind our right ankle. I want a nice long spine. Your other hand is just on your left shin, okay? That left foot's placed down on your mat. And I want you to extend that leg up as long as you can. Hold. And return. And exhale, extend, hold. And if you cannot fully extend, get to where you can get to and breathe. One more. And place that right foot down. Left hand comes behind your left ankle. And we extend that leg up, hold. Think about your long spine. Return. 2 more. Exhale, hold. Return. Last one here. Up and hold. And return. Hands come onto your knees. Come on down to the shoulder blades. You're in a little ball here. 2 hands onto your right knee. Left leg goes long in front of you. Exhale, switch. Exhale, switch. So start of the ab series here. One of my favorites. Keep that belly drawn in. Keep your head and shoulders lifted the whole time. If you need to place them down, do it and keep those legs going. Reach the legs long. No little half reaches here. And stretch. One more each side, and then both knees hug in for the double leg stretch. Both legs go out long and your arms reach above your head. Pull it in. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. As we're moving through this, friends, I need you to focus on your back, focus on your belly. If your back is leaving the mat, your legs are too low. You're just not there yet. If your belly is popping up, your legs are too low. So everything stems out of our center. One more. Both legs reach straight up to the ceiling. 2 hands behind your right leg, left leg lowers down towards the mat. We exhale, switch. Exhale, switch. If you need a slightly bent knee, because that's where you are today, do what you need to do. And I want one more each side. And we'll finish both legs straight up to the ceiling. Hands come behind your head. Turn your legs out to your Pilates V, which I haven't mentioned yet today. Belly's drawn in and we're externally rotated at the hips. The heels are hugging together to help engage everything up through the inner thighs, up through the lower abdominals. Legs lower about 6 inches for a count of 3, 2, 1, lift. 3, 2, 1, lift. So keep going, my friends. And the same cueing I mentioned with the lower back and the abdominals. If anything is moving in here, your legs are going too far. And that goes for any group exercise class you're taking, okay? So you need to pay attention to your body. 2 more. Last one. Knees come to tabletop. We finish with a crisscross. Elbow to opposite knee. This should be hard at this point. If it's not hard, I think you might be just dialing in the exercises, going through the motions, not thinking about everything that happens in our center. 3, 2, 1, and rest. So that's the thing about Pilates. Sometimes it just doesn't feel hard. And I can promise you, if it does not feel hard, you are not doing it right. So pay attention to all those cues I'm giving you. Let's sit up, please. I'm going to grab a sip of water. And we're going to come to a seated position. I don't just tell you all these cues because I like to hear myself talk. Although that might be up for debate as well, if you ask my family. But I just find it very, very important that you need to know what's expected of your body and what muscles you're working and what's happening and when it's happening. So I've mentioned the past few weeks, if you cannot sit with straight legs and a flat back, I need you to prop yourselves up, either on a yoga block, a foam roller, a rolled up yoga mat, a towel, something that will prop your hips up higher than your ankles, okay? And that will open you up at the hips a little bit and take some of the stretch out of the hamstrings, glutes, and lower back. Legs are out long in front of you, about max distance apart. Your arms are out in front of you, shoulder height, shoulder width. So feel like you're growing taller up to the ceiling. Your sits bones, the bony part of your bum that you feel when you're sitting, are evenly pressed down into the mat. So we've got a long spine, our shoulders are down, our sits bones are pressing down into the mat. This might be work for you just to hold this. If it is, pay attention to that, please. Scoop the belly in, spine stretch forward, starting with the head, the shoulders, the upper back like we're going up over a beach ball. Nice spinal stretch forward, stacking the spine, back up to our starting position to your long back. Scoop the belly in, head, shoulders, upper back, up over the beach ball. Stacking the spine back up. We've got one more. So I mentioned, if it's hard for you to sit here like this, spinal stretch forward, head, shoulders, upper back. Maybe you take some time during the day to prop yourself up, flat back against a wall, stacking the spine back up. Let's let the arms come down. I want a nice long side stretch up and over. I'm going to turn so you can see. I have a soft elbow of that arm that I'm leaning towards because this does nothing for us. Soft elbow, lengthening through our side. So like I mentioned, maybe you sit up against a wall with a nice flat back, up and over to the other side, and your head back up against the wall, and your shoulder blades up against the wall, and your legs out straight in front of you. See how that feels? If it's miserable, do it a few times a day. That's your proper posture. And bring it up. All right. Let's bend the knees. Flex the feet for me. So just gently pulling the toes back. Arms are out in front of you, shoulder height, shoulder width. Shoulders are down on the back, right? Those shoulder blades are grounded right where they should be. Scoop the belly in. Exhale as you roll about halfway back and hold to a spot you can maintain for a moment. Feel like you're tucking your belly button up underneath your rib cage. We're holding, we're breathing. What I don't want is those hip flexors to be on fire, okay? If they are, maybe play around with your leg placement a little bit. See if you can take some of that out of there. Add a little mini crunch up. Scooping that belly. We've got 5, 4, 3, 2, hold. Hold and breathe. Arms are long. Scoop in the belly. And control yourself all the way back down. Arms are long by your side. Feet are flat on the mat. I never like to have my hair up when I'm lying on my back because it kind of tilts my head at a very odd angle. So that's something to keep in mind. Remember, always paying attention to what your body feels like. Feet are flat, arms are long by your side. Exhale, lift those hips to a bridge and hold. Get comfy here, friends. Weight is evenly distributed in the feet, so wiggle the toes around. Feel what it feels like to have everything pressed firmly down to the mat. Don't let those hips sink down, right? Keep them lifted. Hamstrings, glutes need to work. Hold here. Little pulses up with those hips. We go up, up, up. Keep going. We've got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lower down. Let's bring one knee up to tabletop, then the other. And extend the legs up to the ceiling. If you cannot extend them fully straight, a slight bend in the knee is perfectly fine. I don't want any tension up through here just to try to get the legs straight. Okay? Arms are long by your side, belly button drawn in. We're going into a reverse crunch here. I think we probably all know this. And we're going to inhale as we lift the hips. Exhale as we lower. Inhale as we lift. Exhale as we lower. Keep going. So what we're thinking about here is not plopping back down. We control ourselves. Yes, it's hard to get up. It's even harder to control yourself down. One more. Lift and lower. Place those feet back down on the floor. Exhale up to a bridge and hold. Hold here. Hamstrings, glutes. Hips are even. Little pulses up, up, up. So when we do the reverse crunch, while you're sitting here thinking about those hamstrings and the glutes, right? I'm going to go back to that reverse crunch because we are revisiting that. Don't be afraid to use the arms a little bit. 5, 4, 3, 2, hold, lower down. One knee up to tabletop, other knee up to tabletop, extend those legs. Back to that reverse crunch because we're going to be adding on to this next week, my friends. Here we go. Lift with an inhale. Lower with an exhale. Lift and lower. Control yourselves. You might get a ½ inch off the floor. That is work, and I will take it. 2 more. Lift and lower. Last one. Lift and lower. Give those knees a hug for me. And we are going to come to side lying for a little bit of our side leg series. I'm going to take a sip of water. You find yourself lying on your side. So that reverse crunch movement is the start of a lot of exercises in Pilates.
A lot of really fun, awesome exercises. So as we do move on through the coming weeks with that, remember the reverse crunch is that baseline. And if something is just getting a little overwhelming and you're not ready for it, you can always take it back to that, okay? So your head can rest in your hand, or if you have neck, shoulder, back issues, I need you to take your arm long and let your head rest on your arm. Top hand goes right down in front of your chest. Hips are stacked, belly button drawn in. Lift that top leg just hips distance from the bottom leg. I want you to flex the foot, press through the heel. Little lifts, up, up. So we're focusing on the abductors here, the outer thighs. I want 5, 4, 3, 2, hold. We're going to internally rotate at the hips. So we're used to external rotation. I want internal rotation, not a normal position for us. Hold it there. Little lifts, up, up, up. You might hate this as much as I do. But by making those little shifts, it targets different muscles. So now this is going to get you a little bit more into the glutes, still the abductors, right? And you might even feel it down into the calf. And I want 5, 4, 3, 2, hold. Turn back to parallel. Point the foot, little circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Reverse. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. Good. From here, come onto your stomach. Make a pillow for your forehead with your hands. I will not forget to do the other side. Trust me, I know what I'm doing. I won't leave you hanging. Make a pillow for your forehead with your hands and let your forehead just rest. I want your body to relax in this position. I don't want any tension through the hips, through the lower back, through the glutes and the hamstrings and the shoulders and everything, okay? It's a very calm position. We can just relax. Find your breath. And now I want those hip bones evenly pressing down into the mat. And that left leg, just the left leg, we're not alternating, is going to stay nice and straight as we lift it up and lower it down. Keep going, left leg. So when I mentioned the hips evenly pressed down into the mat, I do not want that left hip to move because I don't care how high that left leg is going. I want the hips evenly pressed down and we're working hamstrings and glutes as we're staying connected through everything in our center, okay? So it's not about the height of that leg. Keep that belly button drawn in. 3, and 2, and 1. Other side, same thing, right leg. Here we go. Lift and lower. Now you might find you have a little bit more range of motion on one side versus the other. That is very normal. It has to do with tightness through the hip flexors, right? Because we're right now, this is hip extension, not hip flexion, which is so nice. We rarely get hip extension past neutral, which would be our standing position, right? I want 2 more. I love all that stuff. Any kind of kinesiology, moving body stuff, I just love it. And rest. I want you to sit back into your child's pose. Although in grad school, I can't say I loved it as much as I do now, but I'm not being graded on it now. Hold that child's pose for a moment. And then I'm going to have you come to your other side for the second side of the leg series. So I had done my undergrad degree in dance, so So obviously had anatomy and physiology for all of that. And then my grad degree is in exercise science. So it's a great little combination. Little combination. It was a lot of freaking work. But it's a good combination to have. I've found it to be very helpful. Belly button drawn in. Hips stacked. Lift that top leg. Flex the foot. Little lifts. Up, up, up. So that's why I love the moving body so much. And I try to dissect it so it's accessible to dissect the movements, not the body. Accessible to everybody so you understand what's going on. 5, 4, 3, 2, hold. Now remember, we internally rotated at the hip. So almost like you're pigeon-toed, right? That toe's turning in when we lift, lift, lift. Keep that core strong. If that's not engaged, you're going to be very wobbly. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Turn back to parallel. Point the foot. Small circles. 1, 2. 7, 8, 9, 10. Reverse. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. Let me have you come onto your stomach, back to that position we were just in. I don't care which way you're facing. Don't bother swiveling your whole body around. Bend the knees to about 90 degrees and let them do a little windshield wiper side to side, releasing any tension through the back of the body. Oh my goodness, where does the time go? I feel like I say that every week. Whew. All right, extend those legs long for me, please. We need to work through our lower back exercises, which are so important. I say that every week. Legs are heavy into the mat. Forehead is resting on your hands. Belly's drawn in, hips are pressed down. We inhale, lift the head and the chest off the mat. Your hands come with you. We exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Keep going. So your belly is drawn in. You are not pushing it down into the mat to try to get higher. All class, I've said draw your belly button in. This is no different. 2 more. Take your arms long by your side, please. Palms facing the ceiling. If that bothers your shoulders, I want palms facing your legs. And we inhale, lift. Let those arms press up to the ceiling. A little tricep work there. And lower down. And inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. And lower. 3 more. Lift. And lower. 2. Last one. And rest. I want you to push back to your child's pose. If child's pose doesn't feel right for you, you can come to all fours, hands and knees, where you're rounding the back and arching. Do what feels right for your body. And then we're going to come to all fours, okay? So if you're not there already, find your all fours position. Wrists under your shoulders, knees under your hips. Long neutral spine. So you kind of see, I have a little dip in my lower back here. I'm not sure if you can see that. And that's my neutral spine, okay? So yours might be a little bit flatter. That's okay. Belly button drawn in. Don't change the position of that neutral spine, okay? Draw that belly button in. Take your right leg, extend it back behind you and hold. No higher than parallel to the floor. Opposite arm goes out in front of you. Hold that balance. If your core is not engaged, you're going to feel very wobbly. Your gaze is right down just a few inches above your fingertips that are on the mat. Holding 3, 2, 1. That comes down. Opposite side. Leg goes out, then the arm follows. Hold your balance. Three, two, one. Arm and leg come down. Nice long line from the top of your head to your heels. Belly buttons drawn in. Breathing strong through that upper body. Don't let your hips sink and don't lift them up. Stay nice and long. 3, 2, 1. Lower the knees, sit back to your child's pose. Roll your wrists out. Coming back up to all fours, I want to get just one more plank in before we finish off. Up to your plank and hold. Hold and breathe. Now I want you to make a little shift here. So I was just talking in depth about that neutral spine. I want you to draw that belly button in and tuck the pelvis like you're in an imprint. You're going to feel the difference here. Hold that position. 3, 2, 1. Rest the knees, sit back. Roll those wrists out. So that little shift from our neutral spine to our imprinted spine, you should have felt the abdominals have to work even harder, okay? I want you to come into a high kneeling position for a hip flexor stretch as we finish off. So one leg in front, a little bit further out than directly under the knee. Shift your body weight forward, opening up that hip here. Okay. If you feel steady enough and would like to add a side arm stretch, please feel free to do that. Really lengthens nicely through that whole side of the body. Now at the end of Pilates, we don't spend a lot of time stretching because we just spend 40 minutes stretching our body, okay? Working our muscles and lengthening, stretching. So we shouldn't have to take a 5 to 10 minute stretch period at the end because, hey, we already did it. Shift that body weight forward. If you feel you can, add that side stretch. And if you come away with anything from my Pilates classes, I just really want you to make that mind to body connection and think about the muscles that are working. I want you to sit comfortably. I don't care what that is, legs straight, legs open, legs crossed, okay? I want you to take some gentle shoulder rolls back. So paying attention to what our moving body is doing is really important. It will help with injury prevention. Sometimes we want to ignore what we're doing because it's so hard, and that's okay too. There's a time and place for that. I want you to take a nice inhale and exhale. One more inhale and exhale. And we are finished. Thank you for joining me. I will see you back here next week. Have a great night.